As foster parents, you almost automatically have children that you know have had some toxic stress or stress that has been overwhelming and perhaps damaging to that child's development. That's the nature of your job, and we've tried to put this video together to help you understand that a little bit, how that might affect the child's brain, and also how you might respond or change your response by being more aware of trauma in the children you serve. This is LC. Hi, I'm LC. His real name is Little Circle, but everyone calls him LC. He's 4. He's got a lot of problems. He sometimes runs around way too much. He has really bad temper tantrums, and he just won't obey his parents. No, his, in spades is his big word. He's oppositional, he's hyperactive, he's just really has these temper outbursts. Oh, you don't know his parents yet, so here's his mom, and here's his dad. I did have commentary as I made this that I should have made the circles more of the same size because it's kind of sexist or kind of whatever. It implies nothing about importance. So if LC lived in the 1950s, everyone would know exactly how to manage his problems. He needed more discipline. And discipline usually means punishment. He needs, here's his dad, I've got a paddle and I'll use it. He needs more strictness. You have to be strict. He's unhappy about that. 20 years go by. In 1970, if he lived in the 70s, his parents would be smarter. They would know all about Dr. Skinner's rats. They would know that you can reward parts and give consequences for other things. They would know that he has 2 parts in his brain, a part that really responds to good things, likes them, does them more, and a part that tries to avoid bad things, just like a rat. Okay, we train rats exactly with this. She would reward good behavior. You want to reward. She would discourage bad behavior. Oh, sorry, you earned a consequence. Parents might not agree on what's the consequence, so the dad's in there advocating for his old system. But she said, no, he's going to lose points here. We're going to have that. And then we're also going to ignore things that don't really matter that much, and those things will go away. She'd use behavior modification, just like with a rat. We can behavior modify a rat. And it works. Behavior modification works for kids, much better than the old way, so let's get rid of that one. And it's because his brain is a mammal brain that's something like a rat's, sort of, so it works. But let's go 20 years further ahead. Even smarter now. His parents would be even smarter, hopefully. They'd know that his brain was more advanced than the rat, that they had higher cortical centers here, a little green part up above there. And they would know that behavior is often a way that a kid communicates. And so they would say, what's he trying to tell us with this behavior that's really problematic? And well, let's speculate, let's figure out what might it be, and then let's figure out a way to help him communicate that more effectively or more socially acceptably or without driving us crazy or whatever you want. So they use functional behavioral analysis. It worked even better than behavior modification for a lot of things. It's got a real strong evidence base. It's a really good way to manage kids and preschoolers. But anybody, I think, figure out what that behavior trying to say, what are they communicating? And it's functional behavioral analysis because it's functional behavior. They're getting what they need. It's just maybe not the way we want them to. So because behavior is communication, it does work. So he wants the toy, he wants not to go to Andy's house, he wants a little more attention. Figuring that out and giving them a better way to do that is really helpful, and functional behavior analysis was a big step and a good step forward. So 20 years further, if he lived in the 2010s, his mother might even be smarter. And for this, I'm going to say, what if his dad became addicted to alcohol, left the family, so she's kind of on her own now. But she might know that his brain could be affected by traumatic events too. That things that happened to him in a bad way that we wish wouldn't have happened might be affecting him now. He would know that that little cross there, that's damage in his brain. She might know that his brain can actually be affected by those. She would still know that behavior modification works for many things, so she could do that, and he likes the reward part. She might also know that it's a way to communicate, and functional behavioral analysis might work. Let's try to avoid something, let's figure out what they're trying to avoid, and let's figure out why, and then how can we help them communicate. But when those don't work, she also knew that behavior can communicate some really complicated things, and things that you can't just say, oh, what's he doing, let's find a better way. He might be communicating, I'm scared all the time. I'm just on high alert. I'm scared because my dad hit me. When he was here, you didn't know all the things he was doing. I can't stand this. His brain might be permanently on a high alert status. Or his brain might permanently be, nobody's ever going to get close to me again. I mean, that's too painful. People have been in my life. I was really connected to them, and then they left. And it was so painful. And mourning is the opposite of attachment. When attachments break, we all mourn terribly. And if you've lost somebody really close, that's a big deal. It's a physiologic deal. But that might be what he's communicating. And behavior can very effectively keep people from attaching to you. They can, lots of kids are really bad because I'm going to show you that you're not getting close to me. And you have to fight it because we're kind of built to attach. But that could be kind of burned out of him. So bad effects can actually change his brain. So when behavior modification and functional behavior analysis aren't enough, in the 2010s, we know maybe we need a trauma-informed therapist to help out both. Okay, so there's my trauma-informed therapist. She's coming in, and we're going to work with both parents, and there's some effective ways to do that. But actually, it's things that can just be done too, because she also knows that unconditional love for this kid is really important. So just plain old unconditional love, which of course is not completely possible for human beings, and for some damaged human beings, it's really very, very difficult, but it's very healing, and so she might know both of those. So that's really good for all children, obviously. And we have this sort of dichotomy here because we talk about attachment and we think about love and unconditional love, but it's harder to talk about that. Then you're being kind of touchy-feely or whatever. But they're very much the same thing. We just have different words for it. So we keep learning. We know that harsh discipline is not effective. It might be even harmful. We know that loving, consistent behavior modification is effective. It's not effective in a harsh, cold, here's your reward, here's your punishment, and I don't care about you, but it's very effective for a lot of things. We know that it is often communication, and figuring out how you can do that is often helpful. And we know that trauma does change brains and that loving relationships can heal. So we are learning, and that's kind of what the end of that story.